DeSanto Propane is 4 generations strong as a trustworthy family-owned business with unmatched customer service. Go online at DeSantoPropane.com for more info or call toll-free at 1-800-752-4574. Since 1937, the difference has been DeSanto Propane.
All right, everybody, welcome into Fresh Takes with Russo and Felice, special live edition-wise Thursday. Obviously recording, so just hitting the feeds a little bit later than usual because of the holiday. So hopefully everybody had a fantastic Christmas. Happy first day, or first now couple days of Hanukkah, technically. Today's Kwanzaa, so happy Kwanzaa and Boxing Day as well to those who celebrate. Paul Russo, Nick Felice here with you. Nick, good to see you. You are on the mend, which is good to see, so happy to see that. Holiday probably a little bit more subdued than normal because of that, but how was yesterday for you?
Yeah, it was my first day. I've been sick for a few days here, so bear with me. Yeah, it was nice to feel better on Christmas, and it was a good Christmas.
Oh.
Nick's got a win. That doesn't happen too often.
I'm sorry, Nick. I have some pretty big breaking NCAA basketball news here that I didn't anticipate us having to say, but Jim Larrañaga is resigning from Miami, which I didn't expect that to be an in-season thing with him, if I'm being totally honest. That's really, I know they have not had a good start to the year by any means, but that is super, super surprising.
Yeah.
Coming on pretty much the doorstep of the actual conference regular season now.
This isn't like it's his first bad season at Miami.
No, they've had a couple now kind of consecutively. But even then, he strikes me as a guy who wouldn't do this mid-season. That's super surprising.
I mean, we saw his team that made the Elite Eight that one year. Or Final Four.
I ended up being the Final Four,
Final Four, yeah. And, yeah, it's how it is now. You saw Tony Bennett leave right at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, but that was different, though.
Yeah, I bet you some of the same reasons, though. It's tough.
Yeah, I mean, maybe.
It's tough. The ACC is really struggling. And
yeah.
They're losing all their coaches. And it's just, I'm nervous about this conference.
Yeah.
It's getting bad.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
that's one of the big names in the conference.
Yeah, I didn't anticipate having to discuss college basketball today. I planned today for the sake of you and everything time-wise here for what we have going on. We were just kind of go footballing out at this point. But wow, I mean, that's a news drop coming right off the heels of Christmas time. This was, for a lot of teams, their first full day back of practice after a couple of days off. I mentioned, right? I mean, I don't know Miami's exact schedule, but I know most teams have either they're off until their first conference game, whether it's New Year's Eve or New Year's Day, or you have like one more non-conference, like Syracuse, for example, Saturday has, and then they jump into full-fledged conference play New Year's Eve or day. So that's, like I said, that to me it's super, super surprising given what we know about Larrañaga and
when I think about
the timing. For me, it's the timing of it.
Yeah.
I get it, and I understand what you're saying.
On the team.
I understand what you're saying, but yeah, I mean that for him especially, like if for people who don't know, like Larrañaga's kind of the coach's coach. He doesn't golf. He doesn't really do anything besides coach and recruit and the ins and outs of the job. Like this is super surprising.
Yeah, it's just now college sports has these GMs now,
Yeah.
and they do most of the recruiting. So the coaches don't even really do much anymore with the recruiting part of things. And when I think of this news, I think of this is the end of Larrañaga.
Yeah, I mean, he's 75, I think.
I don't see him coaching again. And when you remember him, how do you remember him? Probably George Mason.
I was going to say for I think people our age, it's going to be more George Mason, right, in the mid-2000s through, what was his final year there, 2011 before he took the Miami job?
Something like that.
not to disregard what he did a couple of years ago, right? But I think that's the generation below us. They're going to recognize him for that before making George Mason George Mason.
Were they the first 11 seed to go to the Final Four?
They were either like the first or the second. If they were the second, it was the first one since like in a while. They might have been the first though. Yeah, I think they were the first. Now that I'm yeah. So, all right. Either way, we can kind of get back to this in a minute. I need to handle a little podcast business if you don't mind. Since I didn't anticipate having to spend the opening 5 minutes kind of dissecting that.
That was
pretty big breaking news. So
on this random podcast day too.
Yeah. So, all right. Thank a couple of our sponsors. Saw DeSanto at the top. Cafe 19, breakfast, lunch, pastry, celebratory cakes, pies, and catering. Guaranteed fresh and always local at Cafe 19 here in Niagara Falls. Also offering an assortment of beverages, including tea, coffee, and espresso drinks. You can check out their full menus and weekly specials at xixcafe.com. And the Q Lake Wine Trail, from the first sip to your last look at the lake, Q Lake Wine Trail will impress and inspire you. America's first wine trail. You truly choose your own path. And when you visit the wineries, you can soak in all the scenery, make memorable moments with friends. You can plan your trip at CugaWineTrail.com. And one of the things I recommend about that, specifically the Q Lake Wine Trail, this time of year, really awesome time to go because it's not as busy, for example. And you tend to actually get talking sometimes with, because obviously like seasonal help they may not have at that point. Maybe get the winemakers even discussing the wines with you and stuff like that. So that's pretty cool stuff. So can't recommend that enough if you're able to get out and go. We get into football here. I guess we'll have to be paying attention to see what, if we have a name. I mean, I'm guessing it's probably just going to be like an assistant coach and they name the interim or something like that. But you never know. Either way. So football, really weird time in the NFL, obviously with the Christmas games yesterday on Wednesday. Because we're going to have to jump back further to do Week 16 and the start of, obviously, Week 17. I know, Nick, I said to you off air, really weird to me. It kind of still feels like yesterday was like Week 16 games in a way. But, Week 16, some interesting things happened, admittedly. Congratulations to you. You picked right. Jacksonville, frankly choked that game against the Raiders. I mean, kind of crazy, but we had some good football and we had more bad football by a lot of teams. So what was your main takeaway from Week 16 in the NFL?
It's nice to have the first pick right now.
Controlling your destiny.
But I know what's going to happen. We're going to play the Eagles the last week. Saquon's going to get the record, and the Eagles are going to throw us the win.
May I interrupt you? Because I think it's going to happen this week with Indy. And I always say it because look what happened with Indy last week. 530-something yards of offense. They were killing Tennessee. And then all of a sudden in the fourth quarter, Tennessee just tried to make a comeback.
I know. I don't see it, though. They got murdered by Atlanta.
Yeah, that's true.
Atlanta, Paul.
Yeah.
They're up 7-0 in that game, too. And they're getting murdered by everybody.
Yeah.
So the only way they can win if the Eagles throw it to us, just to spite us. And, so is that my biggest takeaway? I don't know. I'm trying to remember because, so we're talking Week 16, so the Chiefs still haven't clinched the 1 seed yet. I mean, the Niners getting eliminated. Like
that might be like weirdly the biggest one, right?
Like talk about, we've been saying this is the punt season. They're just punting this season away. Like talk about an awful season. I know they had injuries, tons of injuries, but Lions have had injuries.
Yeah.
Hasn't seemed to bother them.
Yeah.
I feel like the Niners get eliminated.
And I think a part of that, too, with the Niners is they talk about how the fact that they can just reload and put different guys in. And it's very apparent that that's not the case anymore. It's weird. Like, I don't know if this is the end of their window necessarily. I think they need to kind of do some sort of reset, though. Like, something that obviously, we've seen the stuff with Debo and stuff like that, but there clearly needs to be some sort of reset going on there because, like, it's not just Debo. I mean, we got guys on both sides of the ball. You got one guy legitimately, like, quitting on the team.
Yeah.
Which
that was bad.
I don't like the discourse around that. I know we're 2 weeks old now into it and we didn't talk a lot about it, but, like, the guy has a lot of stuff happening recently in his personal life that like it's kind of the reason I joke why I say like I hate people like type stuff. So, yeah, but like especially in that division this year where it very apparent is it still is right an open division more than anything else this year. Now maybe obviously the Rams are now more in control, but like I mean Arizona looked really good for a while. Seattle looked really good for a while. The Rams now have looked really good now for a little bit. Like you could have still gotten away with it this year for the 49ers. And I think that's going to be the tough one to swallow if you're a fan and the organization.
Washington. I wish we could go back to that clip where you in this podcast where you said you would never wear Washington, you would never buy Washington gear again.
Well, to be
and
fair,
look at you today.
To be fair, the hat I did buy, but this hat's now what 4 years old, I think.
That's the football team,
give or take, right? This was a gift yesterday for Christmas. Shout out my brother Pat. But yeah, I still haven't bought anything from the new regime. But,
really?
It's tough. I blame Syracuse football for kind of throwing a wrench into that. But yeah, I mean, it was an ugly. Let's be fair. That was an ugly game. Ended up being fun, but it was an ugly game. Man,
going down helped.
Well, gotta say one thing, Eagles fans, you are a miserable bunch. Man, oh man. Look, I get it, but like, Kenny Pickett doesn't play defense.
Yeah.
You can't go back and claim that Jalen Hurts is your only good player. I'm sorry, but Jalen Hurts isn't even your lead MVP candidate on the team. Not even close. So like, I get it, but like at the same token, just like shut up and take your loss.
That number 14 is pretty
right? Good. Like Zacchaeus, let's pump the brakes on like really good. He's good, but yeah, it was a de facto revenge game for him in a way, if you will. So yeah, I mean great game obviously, but it was ugly. I mean it was an ugly game, but
and they win the division.
I mean technically the door's still open, but
win out and lose out, right?
Yeah, it would be a win out, lose out, and then I think Philly still technically has the tiebreaker, so it would have to come down to like they need like point differential or something like really not down the line, but they really need to put belts to asses in the next couple of weeks, and I just don't know if that's going to fully happen. So
what is Washington right now? What seed are they?
I think they're still technically the 7, but we can get more into that next week.
They're not in yet, are they?
I think they can clinch this week with a win or a Buccaneers loss or something like that. So, yeah, it's a win or lose situation for them this week, which is nice. But and I think and that's what I mean by the division, especially like if they win this week, beat Atlanta Sunday night, and they know that they're at least in. I kind of wonder, week 18 who will fully see on the field for them anyway. So,
and when's the last time they won a playoff game?
Won a playoff game? Like 2000 something.
All right.
Probably before I was an actual like fan.
All right.
So I don't know. Well, there's a lot to see. I mean, right now they'd be playing Philly. I'm pretty sure they're still at the 7th seed.
Easy.
So
that'd be great to knock them out in the first round.
In Philly. Either way.
You going?
No. I enjoy living. Unlike them, I'm a docile creature.
But if you do die, at least you die seeing them beat the Eagles.
That's certainly one way to look at it. Yeah, let's get to these Christmas games yesterday.
First of all, broadcasts.
Sure. Overall, didn't have a problem.
I like that it was like all the networks came together.
I liked the graphics package. It's very apparent they got their stuff together following the Tyson Paul debacle, production wise. I'm not sure I was a big fan of the announcing crews themselves. And
the Eagles.
I thought they were both good. I thought the Noah Eagle, Greg Olson pairing was pretty good.
Who was it, Burleson and who?
Burleson and J.J. Watt with Iron Eagle. I thought Burleson was good. Just the chemistry in that booth was weird. And I don't know if it's just because, like, they're trying to really shoehorn J.J. Watt here at this point or what. But, like, I don't, like, I get what he wants to do, but, like, I don't know if he, like, wants to do it. Like, that's the thing. But I thought overall it was pretty good.
The players not eating the cake pissed me off.
Well, Mahomes and Kelsey did at least.
Mahomes didn't.
Wait, he didn't?
No.
Kelsey took a bite. I know that. Kelsey was all in.
Mahomes did. He says, I'm on a diet.
Oh, that's right. He did say that. He said he was going to give it to the line. I don't have a problem with that. He gave it to the line.
I didn't watch the end of it, but apparently, was it Lamar and Derrick Henry didn't eat the cake either.
That's
just take a bite of the cake.
Who cares? Yeah, I mean, the guys on Thanksgiving take at least just the bite of the turkey.
They're not asking you to eat the whole cake.
Yeah.
Take a bite.
Yeah. I think at least Mahomes said he was going to give it to the lineman, and I did see video of, like, the lineman eating it, so, like,
Probably.
I don't have a problem with that.
Kelsey at least did it. I mean,
like, and that's why, like, you can say what you want about him at this point, but I mean, that's why I still, like, kind of like him at least, the fact that, like, he just doesn't care. Like, he's just going, like, hell yeah, cake, let's go.
he's a pretty normal guy.
Yeah, I mean, in the grand scheme of it, like.
Anyway, the games.
So, yeah, let's go with the games first here, because I do want to get to the halftime show. That was some awful, dreadful football played in both those games yesterday. There was a glimmer of hope for about 10 seconds in the Chiefs and Steelers game where I was just like, okay, we actually might get good football. And I just got dashed quick. I think it's pretty telling what happens when you have 3 games in 11 days for these teams. And the interesting part is the best a team looked yesterday was probably Baltimore. And that's just because not so much that they just stuck with their game plan as all year. But you can tell, like, they just, and maybe the Chiefs were probably a closer second than I'm giving them credit for. But, like, you can tell which coaches were smart about how they kind of maneuvered practices the past couple weeks. And stuff like that. Like, it was very apparent who was, like, I don't want to say fresher. It's tough to say fresh at this time in the NFL season for any team. But you could tell who was just more rested, more, like, physically just kind of ready to go. Yeah. And I think that's also maybe telling of where teams kind of are right now anyway. I mean, they've been having a rough year, to say the least, compared to what the hope was for them. And you can tell that, like, past month has really got them trying to figure stuff out. And I think especially, the same thing for Pittsburgh, really, to be fair. We just don't talk about them in the same way we talk about the Texans because for whatever reason, we love nationally still talking about Tomlin in this great sense and the Steelers in this great sense when, frankly, they're probably going to finish at 10-7. Maybe they finish 11-6, but they haven't looked good in a month, that team. Like, the last time they looked good was probably when they beat Washington, if I'm being completely honest. But, yeah, I hate saying it like this way. Kind of wish I just maybe watched the NBA the whole day. You know?
I had 2 TVs going, so I had them both on. Yeah. Not the greatest NFL games, that's for sure, but what would we expect? It's the same 4 teams we saw on Saturday.
Right.
I mean.
And the same 4 that we saw literally 6 days before.
Yep. And it's a short rest, so it's basically like a Thursday night game.
Yeah.
And you're having 2 of them now.
Yeah.
These aren't even Thursday night games. These are Thursday afternoon games.
Wednesday afternoon.
But, yeah, in the real, like a normal
I see what
week.
you're saying, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like a 4-day, it's even less rest
for
some of these teams. So, and it's just, I like the idea, but what yesterday proved, I think, that the idea of having football games every day is not going to happen for quite some time.
No, and that led me to a question that I wanted to pose, and I'll ask it now before we get to the halftime show and the second game. I think the way Christmas falls the next 2 calendar years, it's hard. It's going to be hard to avoid having games not on Christmas,
Because it's gonna be on Thursday next year.
right? Because it's going to be Thursday next year, and I think it's Saturday the year after that. Or
And they might skip it.
yeah, it'd be Saturday. Wait,
One's late.
yeah, it would be Saturday the calendar year after that. I'm pretty sure either Friday or Saturday the year after that, right? Either way. So like, I don't think there's a way we're avoiding it in the next couple, especially next year with it being Thursday. They're gonna stack probably one more game on the usual
When
Thursday.
it goes
night
around
slate.
to Tuesday again,
I was gonna say.
what do they do on Tuesday?
Well, I was gonna say I think the interesting one comes up when it kicks back around to being like on a Monday, where
They've had like Monday Night Football.
correct, but how many games are they gonna stack on Monday
Yeah.
at that point? Tuesdays, you're right. Tuesday's gonna be an interesting one only because
When
how
did these teams play before?
are they gonna? Well, the question to me is how are they gonna classify what the week is?
Yeah, it's true.
So much that not so much that it's very apparent they don't care about how the calendar is structured for the team, but how are they gonna calendar it for themselves, right? Are you gonna call it week 16 or 17 at that point?
It's gotta be the next week because of fantasy. You can't have
Oh, I think they could care less about that at this point.
ESPN would make it the next week because you can't have some guy have his quarterback play twice in the week.
How would it be twice in the week though?
Because if you keep it, it'd be probably the same teams, right? Unless you push their game back to Tuesday.
No, but what I'm saying is I think they would kind of treat it. I think they would treat it as so like say it's week. This past week was 16, right? And yesterday's games were the first of week 17. I think they treat it as a week 16 game on Tuesday.
So you're saying like they wouldn't play Sunday, they just play Tuesday.
Correct.
Yeah.
Kind of like how it was like that COVID year
Yeah. So it's like
in a way. I think that's how they would do it.
they probably would do that. Just play Tuesday.
Yeah. Because at that point,
And then they wouldn't play till the next
the Players Association's definitely not going to be down with say having a team play like on Thursday, and then the next week for them their game is on Tuesday. There's no way, and I would not agree to that anyway as a player either. You nuts? You're only giving me freaking 4 days off? Like,
Yeah.
you're crazy. So, all right. Before we get to our picks, did want to know what did you make of the halftime show with Beyonce during the Baltimore-Houston game?
One, I need to let people know I'm not a huge Beyonce fan.
Okay.
Can't really name 3 songs.
Actually, I just realized I don't think I could either now that I'm thinking about it.
If I did, they're probably like Rihanna songs. So
Single Lady. I think for me it's just Single Ladies. Is there any other one? I mean, maybe back when with Destiny's Child, but that doesn't technically count because that's a group.
yeah. I like Shabuzi and Post Malone.
Okay, so this is. I'll let you go because
I mean,
go. I'll let
talk
you
about
talk.
short cameos, though, man.
Either way.
Shabuzi said what, 2 words and he was gone.
I don't know. I'll let you go before I get into my.
So I'm a big fan of them. I mean, more Post Malone. I know most of his songs.
Did
Shabuzi,
he look good to you, by the way?
he always looks like that. Shabuzi, though, he only has that one song I know, but yeah, I mean, haven't heard of Beyonce in a while, so that was different. Did Lamar Jackson come out at halftime to watch it?
In the tunnel? I don't know. It's a good question.
He said he wanted to. Yeah, I mean, I've seen worse. I've seen better, obviously. Good, a lot of good dancing. I'll give him that. But, it won't be the most memorable halftime in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Your thoughts?
So I preface it with this as well. Not a big Beyonce guy. That being said, I'm a big fan of live music. So stuff like this, I always get kind of excited about, in a sense. I haven't seen video from inside the stadium yet, and this is where I would like to fully make a actual conclusion before I make one. But my takeaway as of right now, it seemed weirdly quiet and weirdly slow. And I don't know if that was intentional. I don't know if that was just the way it ended up kind of being conveyed through the stream on Netflix. I don't know. It just seemed really quiet and slow. I get why it was the full-fledged Cowboy Carter kind of experience, her latest album. From Houston, obviously. Country music's pretty big in Texas, obviously. That being said, kind of would preferred maybe a couple of her, classics from whatever.
Weren't any, right?
No. I could have done without the cameos. Just gonna call like it is. I don't mind if you have one come out with you or something, but like you said, they were out there for the equivalent of like 2 sentences.
Yeah.
And
really
frankly,
quick.
and this is maybe my biggest hot take and takeaway of the thing. Like, I'm already really sick of the whole entire Shabuzi thing.
He was just on Thanksgiving.
He was on Thanksgiving. TNT rolled him out for the NBA tip-off thing. Like, I'm good. I can only hear Bar Song so many times. But yeah, it was just a really weird experience. Like, I don't know if it's necessarily, like, my first thought yesterday was it was bad.
It was quiet.
And then after, a couple more minutes, I'm like, I don't know if that was necessarily bad or just like weird. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, I just.
And the first part was definitely filmed earlier.
Yeah. Okay. So I was thinking that too, but I wasn't I wasn't totally sure. So I'm happy I'm not.
There's no way.
I'm happy I'm not the only one then thinking
Those
that.
horses did that in one take.
I see what you're saying. Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah. I was just thinking more in general because I'm sitting there going like,
yeah.
Is this pre-recorded?
Like, clearly.
And then, because also too, the way when the camera crossed, or not crossed, but like you could tell there was like a change of camera. I was like, it went from like darker to brighter, and I'm like, what just happened? Like,
and I watched this with my dad and my uncles, and they didn't seem too amused.
Yeah, I was watching with my dad. He had no idea what was really going on. That was kind of the takeaway I had from a few different people I was texting with during that as well. Like when they were watching with their parents, they were just like,
"Just get ready for the Kendrick Lamar halftime show."
I mean, I'm excited for that. I'm a Kendrick guy though, so but I'm excited.
But your parents though.
Well, luckily I don't watch with them. I watch with like you and Matt and Pat and people more our age in that sense. So
yeah,
Pat's not gonna like it.
No, he's not a fan.
He's not a Kendrick guy at all. He is pro Drizzy. So, let's get to our picks, Nick. 11-5 for me last week, 10-6 for you. So we were pretty much even again for the week.
Let's just say we're both 2-0 so far.
I'm gonna treat it as if we're 0-2 because I don't think anybody won yesterday. If you were watching those games. So 14 games then this week to pick from, just because obviously and. Yeah, we'll cross the rest of that bridge, I think, at the end of the podcast. So Thursday night football, Seattle at Chicago. The Bears are getting 4 at home.
I'm going Seattle.
Yeah,
they need it.
There was part of me that wanted to take the Bears, but like,
really,
we didn't talk about them really in this game against Detroit. Felt like there was some quit in that game finally from the Bears last week, so
they have not recovered since that Hail Mary.
And frankly, right, if you're Seattle, like you it's not like you can afford to lose this game anyway, like you are the better team, but like you literally can't lose this game this week. So
they're done.
Yeah.
It's not mathematically not great.
Yeah.
They lose.
You would be out of they already kind of are out of their hands what their situation is, but you really at that point would be whatever control you still had, it's gone. So, all right, we have 3 Saturday games this week. First one's at 1:00. The Chargers at New England. New England's catching 4.5.
Chargers.
Yeah.
New England played Buffalo pretty tough.
Yeah, that was a weird game. Again, one we didn't talk about. I think part of that was weather related. I think also Buffalo might have kind of sleptwalked there a bit early on, but yeah, I mean now, yeah, I mean the interesting part about Buffalo is, and we didn't talk about this, so the top 2 seeds now in the AFC are locked in.
Yep.
So how much do we see Buffalo really play the next couple weeks? I don't know. We'll see when we get to that game and we pick it.
You got Josh Allen your championship.
Exactly. So we'll talk about that maybe when we get to that game to pick. So the second game on Saturday, the 4:30 game, Denver at Cincinnati. Cincinnati, a 3.5-point favorite at home.
I like Cincinnati.
I do too. 3.5 is a very small line though. So I think it's kind of like the Kansas City deal. I think Vegas kind of knows that game's going to be close.
Yeah.
And so, and honestly, if because we do these ones head to head, not on the spread, I would probably take Denver with the 3.5 personally, but we pick head to head. So, all right, and then the nightcap on Saturday, Arizona at the Rams. Rams 6.5-point favorites. I'm going Rams. They just have been playing better.
I want the play in. Taking Cardinals.
Really?
Rams
I don't-
Seahawks play in next week.
Man, dude, I don't hate that pick, but boy, did Arizona get gut punched last week.
Panthers aren't bad.
They aren't. We talked about that last week again. When we get to that game, I'll talk more. But hey, speaking of that Buffalo game, we get to the early window on Saturday. The Jets at the Bills. Bills down to being 9-point favorites. That game opened at 10 on Monday. Got down to 9.5, and now in the course of the past couple of days, down to 9.
You never know if this could be one of Rodgers' last ever games.
We can only hope.
Taking the Bills.
So I'm going to go Bills. The tough part with this game, as I mentioned, they're locked into second place now. I still think this week they go out and play. Next week in New England's going to be the interesting one. So, but, yeah. It's a home regular season finale. I'd imagine they probably go out and, at least for the first 3 quarters, play. You know what I mean? All right, Vegas at the Saints. Saints are a 1.5 underdog at home.
I know.
I'm not thrilled with my pick. I'm taking the Raiders.
Same.
Yeah, I
Did
just
not see the Saints the other night.
not see the Raiders the past.
They won.
I'm aware, but this is a lot like
Raider fans.
this is another. It's a lot like another game coming up that we have to
realize
take.
If they win that game, they'll move up to the 10th pick.
It's move down.
Yeah, move down.
Yeah. It's a lot like another game we have to pick coming up where if you're a red zone guy, you're not going to probably see much of this game.
No.
All right. Indy at the Giants. The Giants are catching 7.5 at home.
Indy.
I'm going Indy too.
We got
But I will say this. I think betting-wise, I think you might want to take the Giants getting the points again, though.
What's the line, did you say?
7.5. I always say that because Indy has really enjoyed all year just giving up a lot of points in that fourth quarter.
Jonathan Taylor, what a game.
Yeah. Too bad he couldn't play defense. Dallas at the Eagles. The Eagles are 8-point favorites at home.
Eagles, but kind of he wants to see the Dallas win.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm taking the Eagles as well, but God, wouldn't it be funny?
Oh my God. They lose to Cooper Rush.
Kenny Pickett's quarterbacking.
Is he hurt though?
No. Cooper or Pickett?
Pickett.
Technically, yeah.
I think it's some other guy. I never heard of him.
Yeah, the McGee guy.
Yeah.
Or McKee.
Key.
Yeah. I don't know. Hurts is still technically in protocol, so I don't know what's going to be the plan there. But, I don't know. Philly fans seem to have it figured out.
He looked not even the same universe, Hurts, when he went.
Well, that was the interesting thing when he popped up. I'm like, oh, he got knocked. I'm just sitting there, and then they whistle. They didn't whistle it late, but they didn't get to that whistle right away to get him off the field. Yeah. No, I'm good. I'm like, no, you ain't.
No, you ain't.
Carolina at Tampa Bay. The Buccaneers 8-point favorites at home.
Carolina.
Okay. I'm prepared for you to say why here. I'm taking Tampa Bay.
Why, Paul?
One, because we're picking head-to-head. I would be taking Carolina +8, though, in this game, without a doubt. But again, another situation of Tampa Bay. You are the better team here. And while you're not mathematically out still, you would be if they lost, I think. Actually, no, it would depend what fully happened in that Washington game later on that night with the Falcons. But, you shouldn't be in the position that you're in.
Tampa Bay has choked away this season.
Yeah. Actually, no, I think they would be out if they lose because Atlanta swept them this year. So, yeah, they need to frankly just win that game to even just be alive going into Sunday Night Football.
Aren't they tied? Or is Atlanta jump ahead?
Atlanta's ahead by, I think, a game now because of this past week.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. All right, the last of the 1 o'clock early window. Tennessee at Jacksonville.
Yay.
Jacksonville's a 1-point favorite at home.
There's got to be $5 tickets to get in that game.
God. Yeah.
in Florida.
By the way, yeah. Go ahead.
I don't know. I think Jacksonville finally wins.
I'm going Tennessee. I think the ultimate outcome of this game would be a tie, though, because wouldn't that be funny?
0-0 tie.
Oh my, 2-2 tie. Nick, this is one of the worst things that me and you talk about all the time. We only have 2 games in the late window.
That's because everyone else is playing on Wednesday.
I'm aware. Miami at Cleveland. The Browns, 6.5-point home underdog.
That's one of the 2 games.
Yep. At least the second game is actually good. I'm going Miami. I'm going to buck the trend of cold weather in them, but it's not actually supposed to be like lousy weather. It's supposed to be like mid-40s, so...
They're frauds.
Also, if I'm being totally honest, if you lose to a DTR-led Browns team at this point, you probably just deserve to lose.
They're frauds. Give me the Browns.
Wow.
Eliminate them. They don't belong.
All right.
McDaniel needs to get fired.
Damn. That escalated quickly. Your final late window game, Green Bay at Minnesota. The Vikings are a point underdog at home.
That one's good.
Yeah.
Taking Minnesota.
I'm on Minnesota as well.
I think everyone's riding Green Bay right now.
Yeah.
At Minnesota. Mm-hmm. They're a great
at
team.
Minnesota.
They got a lot of great weapons.
There's
Aaron Jones revenge game.
There's a lot of talk of Green Bay all of a sudden recently. And while it's justified, they're a good team. I just think Minnesota gets it done at home.
It's because of the quarterback.
Yeah.
No one still doesn't believe in Sam Darnold.
He does give them reasons why every now and then, but yeah. I mean, Sunday Night Football, Atlanta at Washington. Washington is a 4.5-point favorite.
Washington.
Battle of quarterbacks of the 2024 draft. Who gets it done? Jaden Daniels. Roll Mandos.
I will say, if he could get some better players on his team, Bijan Robinson could be the best running back in this league. I think he's a stud.
We talked about this on a different podcast. I just don't know if he's actually all. I think he's obviously good, but there's a reason why they use Algier a ton.
Well, Algier's a good player.
Do you think Bijan, it's not like I don't think he tries, but do you think Bijan tries in practice and it's because it's weird. Isn't it weird how they use Algier still the way that they do?
I think Algier's good. I think he deserves a starting job somewhere.
Yeah.
I think he's a good running back. But
for all the hype we give Bijan, it's just weird. It's all I'm saying.
That team.
But it's under different coach. It's a whole different coaching staff. But it's the same thing.
I know. But he got some great moves.
All right, we got one more game here to pick.
Really?
Monday Night Football. Detroit at San Fran. 49ers are 3.5-point underdogs.
Detroit.
Yes, agreed. So let's move to the college sphere then. We may before we get out of here. First round of the college football playoff in the book. And not pretty by any means, to put it bluntly. The big takeaway for me from the week, the discourse around it's awful. The talk around it is awful. And I get it. They were blowouts. They were not good games.
Let it out.
I'm more than willing to wave the white flag and obviously admit that those were bad games. What I will not allow, and this is where I have a huge problem with the way Herb Street's been talking about it, the way Fowler and Reese Davis and all them have been talking about it. Why are they insistent on chopping these teams' legs out from underneath them? And I get it. Football is different from basketball, which is different from baseball, which is different from softball, which is different from soccer, which is different from volleyball, and all that. But why is football the one college sport where, for whatever reason, we don't want to celebrate the underdog? We don't want to celebrate Cinderella. Yeah. It baffles me. And I get it. Those teams clearly were outmatched. But you can't act as if there weren't blowouts in the four-team format, which there were, right? Like, for whatever reason, people want to skip past the fact TCU ran Michigan out of the barn 2 years ago, right? And for whatever reason, they've really latched on, and I get it because people talk, so of course it's the way it is, right? But for whatever reason, they really want to latch on the fact that Indiana now is the one who shouldn't be there, right? Indiana, who has been the worst Power 5 team within a 50-year run. And it's not even close. And I don't mean to knock down Indiana by saying that. I do not. Because I want to celebrate them. I'm one of their probably bigger banging the drum people that isn't one of their fans, because I think it's cool as hell. The fact that this team, that is usually a doormat for other teams, is finally, like, good. Like, why wouldn't you want more teams to be like that and have, frankly, in my mind, a cool-ass coach who doesn't really give a damn about what you think? But no, instead we want to chop them down because you want, frankly, this year, lame-ass Alabama in there. Who, by the way, would have probably lost way worse to Notre Dame than Indiana did. Right? Who, oh, by the way, lost to Tennessee. Right? Who got blown out by Ohio State. Mm-hmm. But nobody wants to talk about that. No. Because the SEC
is precious.
No, not just precious. They're good. They're good. Give me a break with it, man. It's like celebrate the underdogs here for college football. It's just crazy to me that every other college sport we celebrate it except college football, because for whatever reason that group just wants to protect it when it should be like, I remember, I know it sounds like I'm singling out ESPN. It kind of is, because
they suck.
I mean, that's where a lot of this is coming from, frankly. Like, I remember when game day was actually, like, you celebrated college football, right? Like, yeah, they went to mostly Power 5 games and the big ones at that. But every year you typically had an FCS game, right? You had a G5 game, right? They always did, for the most part, they always did Army-Navy, right? And now it's just, they went to freaking College Station twice this year. They always do Alabama. They always do LSU. They always do, I mean, now, they didn't do Clemson this year now that I'm thinking about it. But they always go to Athens. They always go to Columbus. They always go to Ann Arbor. Like, cool. I get it. But, like, I always thought it was cool as hell when they went to first time they went to James Madison was when they were still hanging out as an FCS in the CAA. You got Corso coming out and dressed up like James Madison. You don't get that anymore, man. It sucks. Now it's just we have to do what's best for the SEC, or what feels like have to do what's best for the SEC. Right? Like, they even, like, dunk on the Big Ten, which, like, I'm being honest with you, man, Big Ten looks way better than the SEC right now. Sorry.
Yeah, that's the thing with the Big Ten and the SEC. We know they're the better teams.
Yeah.
They get the better players. We've known this for a while, but that's not how this works. You have other conferences, and they have good records because they're going to play their teams, and that's how this format works. This isn't an SEC tournament. If you want to go have an SEC tournament, go leave and have your own tournament. This is about the college football championship, and these were the best 12 teams by that format, in my opinion. And everyone's acting like why did they, like, surprised? They're like, wow, Indiana lost. Well, they were the worst team. They were the lower seed, and they had to go on the road. All four of these teams had to go on the road in very tough environments we've never seen before, and yeah, they turned into blowouts. But I think it's just the first ever round of this thing, so I think it's only going to get better. And very impressed of how Notre Dame played against Indiana, And as a Notre Dame fan, I respect any team because we are never guaranteed to beat anybody.
Right.
And
Well, I don't know about that fully, but yeah.
lost Northern Illinois.
But think about that at the time. You make a good example of that, right? Like, albeit that's very clearly the outlier, just an outlier. It happened, right? Think about how literally we spent 2 weeks celebrating that Northern Illinois team. Could you imagine if they were in the playoff? We'd be wondering what the hell is this team doing here?
Big Idaho Potato Bowl winners, too.
Oh yeah, they got biggest dump of that coach's life.
I can't believe he said that.
I love that dude. That dude is a player, like a football. That dude is a ball coach. I love that guy, dude. I worry that he's going to get poached away from that team.
Oh, they usually do.
But
Especially the season
he
just
played
had.
there though, man. He's a Northern Illinois guy though.
I know.
So who knows?
He's had a great season.
Let's get to picking, shall we? All right, we'll begin with the quarterfinal games, New Year's Eve and day. New Year's Eve, one game, the Fiesta Bowl. It's number 6 Penn State versus number 3 Boise State. Boise State 11-point underdogs.
Been thinking about this one a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna pick Boise State.
Okay. I am as well. Obviously, you pick head-to-head on this one.
We went like 2-2 last week.
We both went 2 and 3.
But I mean in the playoff games.
Yeah. Well, no. You went
3-1.
You went 3. No. You went
2-2. You went
Yeah, you went 2 and 2. I went
1 and
1 and 3. I won on North Dakota State. You lost on South Dakota State. So.
Yeah.
But yeah. I'm going Boise State too. But I'm catching the 11. You're getting really risky picking them head to head.
I know what we saw last week, and like, okay, these teams maybe don't deserve to be in the tournament or don't deserve to be in the competition with these other teams that are more deserving to be in here. But there's something about this Boise State team that makes me think that they could beat at least Penn State.
I respect that. All right, the Peach Bowl, New Year's Day. It's number 5 Texas, number 4 Arizona State. Sun Devils are getting 13.5.
Arizona State was projected to come in last place in the Big 12. What a season they've had.
Yeah.
They've moved on since Herm Edwards.
Thank God.
Unfortunately, this one I don't see the same result. I see
Yeah.
Texas winning.
I'm in agreement with you there. Even though I'm horns down, I'm taking Texas here. The Rose Bowl, number 8 Ohio State, number 1 Oregon. Oregon is a 2.5-point underdog.
Don't agree.
Neither do I.
Oregon,
Give me the Ducks.
like, come on. This is the number 1 team in the country, undefeated.
Yeah, I'm going Ducks over Bucks here.
What the hell, Vegas? Show some damn respect.
Yeah, I don't know. And then the last one, the Sugar Bowl, number 7 Notre Dame, number 2 Georgia. Georgia's a 2-point favorite. So Georgia without Carson Beck. Roll with Gunnar Stockton.
I've seen plenty of these games.
Have you?
It's usually like 34-10. They lose. 44-0.
Can't tell what you're doing. I can't tell if you're doing what I think you're doing.
Oh man, I've witnessed. It's not even just the playoff games or the bowl games. It's regular season. We choke in these games. I don't know, man. I'm gonna take Notre Dame. Gonna believe in us, because if we can win this game, I think we can see a path to the national championship game, and then anything can happen in that game, and we might win our first national title since 1988.
This is where I wish I had the pencil with Ticonderoga like Coach Corso.
Not so fast.
Nick, I understand where you're coming from. I get it. Syracuse beat Miami. Syracuse isn't supposed to win those games. They never have won those games.
That's true.
Give me the Irish.
Whoa.
If you remember my bracket,
Yes.
I had Oregon and Notre Dame in the title game.
A lot of people are picking Notre Dame.
The only way I can get there is if Notre Dame continues on.
I know. It's going to be a great game. 8:45. Pretty late
Yep.
on New Year's Day, but,
In the Sugar Bowl.
the Sugar Bowl. We
in
will
Nolens.
we'll be one of the last 5 teams standing. I'm looking forward to the game. Good to see. Always nice to play one of those big SEC powerhouse teams. Losing Beck is a big loss. This is the same Georgia team that just took Georgia Tech to 8 overtimes ever. So
That's true.
we're taking that into account. And
There is one more game we have to pick because we have to have 5.
yes.
And that is the Holiday Bowl, number 21 Syracuse against Washington
Got 'em.
State. Washington State, 16.5-point underdogs.
Come on, I'm taking the Q's.
As you should. I'm taking the orange too, baby. But that is what
Is McCord coming back?
to be determined.
I know it's been like back and forth.
So, but hey, that's a podcast. So, we aren't too sure what the plan is for next week yet. I'm going to say this for those who typically, if you do watch live, I know there's not a ton who do watch live, but for the fact of the feed people, probably going to be Thursday-ish again is my best guess. Only because obviously with the holiday again being on Wednesday next week, won't be here. So that's that. Nick, who are you shouting out today?
Well, Paul, I'm in the fantasy football championship.
That is true.
Been the commissioner.
Collusion in this kingdom.
I've been the commissioner of this league for 14 years. Never won. Playing my friend Josh Langley. He's won once. That was a while back.
Took Jay Ajayi the next year.
Yeah. I want to shout out Josh. Want to wish him best of luck. But I want to kick his ass.
As
Rough
you should.
start yesterday, down 33-9. He had Lamar.
Ooh.
Joe Mixon, Schultz didn't do much for me, but he had Lamar. And luckily, Flowers didn't do much either.
Yeah.
So,
That's true.
but getting a starting running back tonight in Charbonnet. That's a big ad. Hoping to make a run. Got a lot of days this week for some reason. We got a lot of football days, so it's a long way to go. So shout out Josh. Merry Christmas. And happy holidays to everyone out there as well. So, yeah.
All right.
Is this the year?
For your sake, I hope it is, Nick. Good luck.
My birthday's on the 14th.
True.
This is year 14.
Yeah. Hey, why not you? So appreciate everybody for listening in, tuning in. You can find us on all major podcasting platforms, Spotify, Amazon Music, YouTube as well, fingerleaks1.com. Appreciate everybody for tuning in, and we will see you next year.